I'm excited. This is why Steve is here. To get into some of that pro wrestling. Steve heard our first couple episodes, first group of episodes, and really wanted to retouch base on our pro wrestling discussions that we've had, and he, and that's why he's here entirely. He was like, dude, let me get in on some of this. I gotta throw down my knowledge and rock Mendo with some pro wrestling to his face. and so I was like, all right, dude, well, let me see when we can work you in, and here we are. We're happy to have you. Before we really get rolling into it, let me ask you this.
Okay.
How do you enjoy your time here on LagersandLife?
Oh, it's been awesome.
Good.
I'd willingly be a guest again.
Fantastic, man.
If it comes down to a point when we need you, or we're just running out of stuff to talk about, we'll absolutely have you back. For those who aren't aware, though, a little bit of a segue. Steve and I are working on a brand new project, a brand new podcast that's going to be coming your way
pretty shortly.
Probably by the mid to late September, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
You're gonna hear us busting up your airways with a couple other guys. Work in progress. We're getting there. Brand new project, but I think you guys are gonna like it. If you like this show even a little bit, I think you're gonna be happy with the next one. Don't worry, though. Don't worry, LagersandLife isn't going anywhere. Mando and I are still going to be doing our thing, and Steve might pop in from time to time. I don't know. Maybe he'll show up once every couple of months. I don't know.
We'll figure out.
Maybe he won't. I don't know. But it's good having you here while you're here.
I appreciate being here.
And it's great, actually. A little shameless self-promotion to get our new show out there. Like we said, looking for it mid to late September, I think. Yeah, check it out. That being said, where did you want to roll into? Where did you want to start on this heated, I'm sure heated debate on some wrestling?
Well, basically, I was listening to the other shows you guys had, and one of them really stuck out to me particularly.
Okay. All right.
And if you remember, I came to you and I'm like, you guys can't talk wrestling unless you have me on the show anymore. Because...
No worries. Here you are. Let's go. Let's go.
I got to call Mendo out on some bullshit.
All right. Go home.
So, first thing. You said DDP, Diamond Dallas Page.
Yes, sir.
Was dating Nitro Girl Kimberly.
That was a whole lot of bullshit, wasn't it?
Oh, a little bit.
But only a little.
Only a little bit. They in fact were married. Yeah.
Before Monday.
They were married already.
Oh.
It was all just story.
Damn you, TDP!
However, they are not married anymore.
But to be fair, though, that actually does give a little credence to a little bit of what WCW was doing at the time, where nobody knew what the heck was going on with them, whether it was written story or it was truth. Like, they blurred the lines really well. I will give that to them for sure.
They did, especially if you look at the Chris Benoit, Kevin Sullivan woman story.
Okay, yeah. I don't know that one as well, but...
That one blurred the lines completely because everything you saw was story yet real at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking more the Scott Hall, Kevin Nash coming to take over. Nobody knew who they were actually contracted by at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody had any idea who they were actually working for. And it's like, well, no, their contracts actually ran up in the WWF or WWE, I suppose, if you are so inclined. And they were actually working for the WCW, but they didn't make that public until the WWF sued them.
Right.
You can't do that.
If you look at it, though, it was beautiful.
Oh, it was well done. It was exactly what they needed at the time.
Right. And then to top that off, the reveal of who the leader of the NWO was.
Right, the Hulk Hogan reveal. But that was even almost 3 months after the fact? It was deep. And that, from what I understand, was kind of a fluke. They had been asking Hulk to turn heel, and he was like, "No, I can't do it. I'm Hulk Hogan. I can't do it." And then he was just finally like, "You know who the third man should be? Me."
Yeah.
and that was the turn. From what I understand. I mean, maybe you know a little bit more, but yeah.
No, that was pretty much it. Like, for a while, he just didn't want to because of who he was. You know, he was an icon of...
Still is, let's be fair.
A good guy.
Still is, yeah.
You know, and he had to say your prayers, eat your vitamins, you know.
Right, do the whole, buckle your seatbelt, yeah.
Right. And he was kind of afraid to
lose that.
To lose that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, once he turned heel, it kind of got his career back on track, you know? Because it got new.
It got the WCW's entire company back on track, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, I think.
Really, the whole NWO storyline is really what got WCW into the conversation.
Legitimate at all. Like, even a little bit.
Yeah.
But, oddly enough, I mean, still, even throughout that, and I understand they were winning the Monday Night Wars for probably 2 years or so.
Yeah. I
was not a fan. Personally. I just wasn't a fan.
To each their own. Like I said earlier, I watched them both.
Right.
You know. So I saw both sides of it. And I enjoyed both sides for what both sides were.
Right.
You know.
Right. You know, I mean, and I will even be the first to say that, you know, during the mid 90s-ish or so, the WWF, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing.
They couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag.
No, not even a little bit. And it wasn't the talent. It was the gimmicks they were given. It was the stories they were given. There was nothing there. The writers were just too old school and too terrible.
Right.
Like, what were some of the old gimmicks? I was WCW, so what were, like, the bad gimmicks? Like, what were the bad...
Oh, I mean, you had Doink all day.
Doink the Clown, yeah.
You had Doink. You had what were the hillbillies' names?
Hillbilly Jim? No, he was fantastic.
No, but Hillbilly Jim had a tag team that he was managing.
Oh, the Godwins?
The Godwins.
Yeah.
The Godwins. Godwins are god-awful.
Pig farmers or something.
Yeah, and then you had
Duke the Dumpster Grossi.
Duke the Dumpster, I believe, was Drosy. Yes. Duke... Dr. Isaac Yankum DDS.
Oh.
Now, who is that now?
Well, that would be Kane.
That's Kane.
All right.
Kane.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, Dr. Isaac Yankum. That was terrible. Who else did they have? Earthquake and Typhoon for a little bit. And then
Typhoon became Tugboat.
Right, and then
it was Tugboat before, actually.
Yeah, and then Earthquake went over to WCW to be even more terrible, and he was the Shark for a bit. Yeah, that was terrible.
That was terrible. There was a bunch of them.
There was just so many bad, just really bad
like
gimmicks and things like that in the WWF, and that's how the WWF knew to carry themselves for years. That's how they knew to exist.
Prime example, though, at the time, when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash left, they replaced them with two.
It took them months before they did that. Before they were like, well, you know what? Fuck it. You know, we'll just keep using the Diesel and Razor Ramon. But it was like a solid 6 months, I think, went by where they were losing in the ratings, and they were like, you know what? Let's pretend to bring back Diesel and Razor for a bit. And it bombed. It was god awful. It was
so awful.
It was the darkest time in the WWE, I would say. I think legitimately it was the dark times.
Yeah. And
because you had the golden era.
Yeah.
And then personally, right at the start of the Monday Night Wars, you had the dark times if you were a WWF fan. And then you finally hit the light with the Attitude Era.
Right.
And that was...
Okay, I'll give you
the Attitude Era was...
There are a few wrestlers in the Attitude Era that I was like, okay, Hardy Boys, The Rock, Edge and Christian. I like that.
That was way deep into the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
The beginning of the Attitude Era was where it was at.
That's where I started watching WWF, for that matter.
But to be fair, you can't blame the guy who played Diesel, because the guy who was the replacement Diesel is again Kane.
Yeah.
You know, and he was
still just under contract,
Right.
and he was still just trying to
make it.
and they just kept feeding him bad gimmicks until they
Right.
finally hit the right one, which
Red and black.
So, you know,
yeah.
that's how it happens. And there's so many more just terrible gimmicks. We could sit here all night just going over terrible gimmicks.
Papa Shango.
But you know what? Papa Shango was actually good at the time.
It really was a good
You know.
gimmick. But he turned into a much better wrestler in the Attitude Era.
Come get on a whole trade.
I give
Really?
him before the Godfather, after Papa Shango, when he was just Kama Mustafa
Kama
in the
Mustafa,
Nation of Domination. That was my guy.
Okay, I
He
didn't
was
know
a
that.
beast then.
I know him as, you know, the Godfather, get him on the whole trade. What? Daddy, what's a hoe?
Yeah, he kind of went back. He kind of went back to really super gimmicky.
Right.
But that in between time, it was probably some of his finest wrestling, honestly.
Yeah.
As Kama,
Yeah.
of the Nation. That's
That was probably his best actual, like, wrestling run.
I think so. I mean,
As Papa Shango, he was really good. Like,
he was frightening.
right. Like,
Frightening.
he scared the shit out of you as a kid.
As a kid, I wasn't even 10 years
Over
old.
the Undertaker, y'all.
Papa Shango seemed to, when you were a kid. I was less than 10 years old, but Papa Shango even seemed to scare the Undertaker, and that was frightening.
The dead man versus a big, strong, just.
Did you? So you've never actually seen Papa Shango in
I
action?
know him as the hoe master himself.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah,
baby.
you gotta
Choo, baby.
Papa Shango.
You need to see Papa Shango.
Yeah, watch. What was it? What was it? WrestleMania 7?
Depends on what you're referring to.
When was he? When did he? Or no, I'm thinking of SummerSlam. So there was a SummerSlam that he was facing the Undertaker specifically.
Mm-hmm.
It was SummerSlam. Man, I'm bad with dates.
Yeah, so am I.
But in any event, he had come out, and honestly, it was just like Papa Shango came out, and even the Undertaker looked afraid because he was just that frightening a dude.
Yeah.
And it was that real.
So it's probably on the WWE app, or probably just go to YouTube.
Oh, it's definitely on the WWE network, but you gotta remember, you gotta figure out which one I'm actually talking about, and good luck, because I'm great at explaining things.
Please comment. Help a brother out.
Yeah. But getting back into the me calling Mendo out on some more bullshit.
Yeah, go for it.
I remember you posed a question.
That's
What would happen if Goldberg faced Brock Lesnar?
I think my answer's still correct.
You're-
Everyone loses. Everyone.
Technically, yes. Yes,
Clearly,
you're right.
clearly the fans.
But to answer that question,
Talk to me.
it happened. WrestleMania 20. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special enforcer.
Okay.
So what you're telling me,
Yes.
not to cut you off
No.
too hard,
Okay.
but Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, who wins?
Wait for it.
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Yes.
Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stone Cold Steve Austin wins
Stone
that
Cold
fight.
Steve Austin
Okay,
wins.
Mitch.
That's
You
true.
know.
In the record books, it would say Goldberg won that match. But after that match, Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned them both. Therefore, Stone Cold wins.
Yeah.
So
Stone-
That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
That's how the Attitude Era
So the
worked.
Texan can be a UFC wrestler and a freight train coming at you.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. So Goldberg versus who gives a shit equals Stone Cold wins.
Right.
Okay.
So I figured I'd answer your question.
I do appreciate it.
with, you know,
So I was still
legitimate-
kind of right. Everyone
Oh,
loses.
yeah.
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 Except for
Everyone
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And
Well,
Vince McMahon for
without knowing that Stone Cold Steve Austin was a thing. Everyone loses.
All right. If I may pose a question to you.
Oh, pose
There
away.
have- Awesome. There have been many finishing maneuvers throughout, the birth of professional wrestling. What has been your favorite move? Give me top 1, top 3, top 5. I don't give a shit.
That's tough.
That's a tough
Best
one.
finisher.
That's real tough because there's just so many And,
Right.
it really depends on, like, where your mindset is. Like,
Yeah.
are you a
Yeah.
high flyer?
Are you a submission guy?
guy?
Are
Are
you
you a power guy?
right?
Okay.
What guy are you?
Okay.
Well, you know what? Let's narrow it down that way then. Your favorite submission.
My favorite submission would be the Scorpion Deathlock.
Fair enough. I would have gone personally with the sharpshooter, which is basically the same, but not.
Basically, with
All
that,
right.
yeah.
So I hear you.
Fair enough. I would go crippler crossface, Chris Benoit.
Not bad. Not bad.
That's not a bad one.
Not bad
It's
one at all. All right. So how about your favorite high fly?
My favorite high fly would have to be the original
Okay.
Rey Mysterio finisher, where he'd be on the outside and pop off the top rope and
A springboard.
Hurricane Rana the guy into a pinning predicament.
Okay. All right. All right. I think I would still go with the Hardy's Swan Song Bomb.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
If I was going high risk, I'd go Swan Song all day.
Yeah.
Moving to Guerrero's 450 splash.
Not a bad one.
Not bad.
Not a bad
Not
one.
bad. That's
All
an
right.
impressive maneuver.
Yeah. How about power?
See, there's a lot of power ones. There's a lot
You
of
got to
them.
narrow it down to one. What's your power move?
See, I've always liked just the jackknife power bomb. It's just one of those moves that
As performed by whom? Who is your favorite?
my favorite would have to be Diesel, aka Kevin Nash.
Yeah, I would.
Just the way that he
yeah,
gets you up and then
dude, I
drops
get
you,
it. I get it. I love it
You know,
because I was actually kind of gonna go the same way.
go for it.
Diesel's power bomb, dude. It can't be beat. He was just beast.
Right.
If I had to pick a secondary, and I'd be stretching to pick anything that even came close.
Right.
I think I would have to go maybe the Razor's Edge,
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
but it held nothing
Oh no.
nothing to the jackknife
Right.
delivered by Diesel.
Right.
Let's see. I'm not sure if you would consider this a power move, but Canadian Destroyer.
Truthfully, I will plead ignorance here. I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Do you have an idea?
Honestly, it depends
Okay.
because there's like 4 different moves that are called the Canadian Destroyer.
Okay.
So I don't know which
Okay,
one
fair enough.
you'd be referring
All
to.
right. It's kind of like a
Performed by whom? How about that? Who did it?
I do, for the life of me, I don't remember because I know it was during the Ring of Honor days, and I have no idea for the life of me who it was.
Well, that's tougher than
Yeah.
Is Is it the one where you get the guy kind of in the pedigree position and then the guy jumps and hooks his legs with the other guy's arms and
Kind
becomes
of.
like a flip power bomb?
Yes.
Okay, I know.
If you want to, if I'm not sure if you want to call it the power move,
Enlightenment.
because they're like boom, and they're like,
All right, basically, you get the guy.
Well, who did it? Who did it? Enlighten me.
The
there.
guy that I know who did it was a wrestler named P.D. Williams. He wasn't ever in the WWE,
Okay.
but he was in TNA wrestling for a while.
Okay.
And basically, he would get you for the pedigree
Okay.
without the arms.
Okay.
And then he would jump onto your back, hook his back of his kneecaps in your armpits, and then flip you into a power bomb.
That's weird, but okay.
Well, he'd land in a pin, basically.
Yeah, right. That's
It
weird,
was
but all right.
The
All
Canadian
right.
Destroyer.
yeah, that was a move. I'm not sure if you want to consider that a power move. If not, I can give you a second.
That's
It's
pretty powerful, I guess, but it's also kind of
It's-
cruiserweighty.
yeah, it's
You know,
not what I would
it's-
consider from the description a power move. When I think power move, I think just big slams. You know,
Spear,
right?
maybe.
The spear from Goldberg would be, or from Edge.
Edge, yeah.
But
Usually
really,
suplexes.
honestly, the only spear from Edge I consider being high impact was the one from up on the fucking tops of the ladders and shit. Otherwise, just standing in the middle of the ring, Edge didn't have that strong of a spear. I'd give it to Goldberg.
I'd fight you on that one. Edge had another pretty epic spear.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in general, if you were going across the board, Goldberg had a stronger spear than Edge did.
Overall, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But what about Rhino, though? Rhino had a good spear as well.
That was technically the gore.
It was still spear, to be fair, but, as much as I'm not a Goldberg fan, I gotta give it to Goldberg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say he's got the best spear.
Right.
So.
Right. So if you were going spear, personally, I'd say Goldberg, unless we're talking off the top of things and then Edge, because Edge had multiple amazing ones that were just
right. But those are just moment spears.
Those were in the moment. Yes.
If you go just by that, Edge wins.
Yeah.
Edge wins.
Absolutely.
But
if you're going for consistent spears,
Goldberg.
Got to give it to Goldberg.
Yeah.
And I'm the least Goldberg fan you could imagine.
No.
Yeah, you despise.
I fucking hate that guy as far as as a professional wrestler is concerned.
Right.
Fucking hated him.
Over Glacier?
He was terrible.
He doesn't even know who Glacier is.
Oh, I forgot.
That was WCW at its fucking
Sub-Zero.
Like I said, WCW at its worst.
Yeah. I watched the quality programming, so
Just to catch you up, Ron. Glacier was WCW's version of Sub-Zero. That's right.
Yes.
Sub-Zero.
like from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Did they have a scorpion?
Yeah.
That's even weirder.
Except
That's even weirder.
he was called Mortis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, so they
Before that-
really they couldn't come up with ideas of their own, is what you're saying. Ever.
Oddly
Even once?
enough.
Disco Inferno.
Even once did they come up with an idea of their own?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Somewhere.
Somewhere in there.
Okay.
I'd say no. Can't even say Disco Inferno because that's just Honky Tonk Man.
That's a new version of Honky Tonk Man.
yeah.
That's
no, can't really
never
say
once
that.
they came up with an idea that was actually theirs. No.
Can't really say that they did.
No.
No.
That, well,
Sting, no.
you know what?
Sting. I'll give him Sting.
Sting, yeah. I was just going to say, well, Sting. Because him and Warrior...
Until you get to the point in time where Sting ripped off the Crow.
Right.
Because we didn't see that coming.
Right. Yeah.
Right up to that point, Sting.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Because Ric Flair was already established.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
Dusty Rhodes was already established.
Raven?
No, that was ECW.
he was an
thing
ECW guy.
I
Before.
thought it was WCW before he went to ECW.
No.
Really?
No.
Huh.
Actually, Raven was a manager in WWF. He went by Marco Polo. Then got released, went to ECW, became Raven.
Yep.
Then WCW, then back to WWF.
No, ECW first, then WWF.
I thought ECW.
He was
already
WCW,
closed.
ECW, then WWF. WWF may have already owned the ECW,
Yeah, okay.
but he went to ECW before he went to WWF.
Yeah, that might be what it was. But yeah. Then you gotta, think of all the other guys that WCW had that were just clear and blatant ripoffs.
Yeah.
Renegade, which
Ultimate
is
Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior.
All day.
They had, and you know what? I'd give them Harlem Heat was original.
Harlem Heat was fairly original. That's fair.
you're right.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give him that.
But
I'll give him
base-
that. And, everyone in their, cruiserweight division, original.
right.
Got it.
It's like-
Well, as original as they could be for ripping off, Lucha Libre. So that's,
Libre, yeah. But they were original for America at the time.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But actually, even if you think about it, because they took all those guys from ECW. Paul Heyman had him first. Paul Heyman had Ray. Jericho,
Yeah, that's fair.
Eddie. He
That's
had
fair,
them all
yeah.
first.
I mean, they just had the money. They had the money. They had Ted Turner's money to just
Right.
toss around. And so they were like, well, let's just...
Even like La Parka and Hootude and Psychosis and Ultima Dragon and all them.
Well,
Well, that sounds like
the
the entire Cruiserweight division.
almost. The thing is like the main guys like Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Chris Jericho. I think even Juventud and Psychosis were all in ECW.
All right.
And then Eric Bischoff's like, well, we need this division. So he took all them and then went out to Mexico and Japan. And
Yeah,
it's like,
he definitely raped New Japan Wrestling for sure.
Yeah.
You want to be
Not as much as the WWF raped New Japan though.
Oh, no.
With Taka Michinoku and
Kai
like Kai and Tai and like they had a group of them. Once they saw how well the cruiserweight division of the WCW was doing, they came out with their light heavyweight division in the WWF, and they were like, "All right." And then they ripped off New Japan all day. They just kept tearing people from them. And it was a subpar division. Honestly, it wasn't good. Their light heavyweight sucked.
The WWF's light heavyweight division just was not good.
Yeah, it was
terrible.
Especially compared to the WCW's cruiserweights.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
You know.
That's what I will give the WCW, hands down. Their cruiserweight division owned it.
Right. Honestly, that's where WCW shined.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's the only place they had to shine because everything else was stolen, or it was the fucking NWO, which was stolen anyway. So sweet.
You know,
the NWO was just, here's all the guys we took from the better place, and now we're turning them into new guys who are still great, and they're still gonna be great. But fuck any of our actual current talent. I don't give a shit about you guys.
Right. Like the only guy that really stayed relevant, that was their guy during that time frame, was Sting.
Yeah, but even during some of that time frame, he was an NWO member, and he just kind of got lost in the background a little bit.
And part of the Wolfpack.
It depends on how you look at it, because they made you think Sting was NWO. There was an actual other guy that they had playing Sting for a little bit, and you could tell he looked different.
Yeah,
He wasn't the real Sting, but they played it off as him being the real Sting. And then when Sting came back, he made it very clear he wasn't NWO. But then
for a little bit, he was.
When they decided to split NWO into NWO
and the Wolfpack and the whole
and
he was on one side, and
and the Wolfpack,
and WCW just faded into nothing. And
the Wolfpack was the good NWO.
Yeah,
Sting was in that, and but at that point WCW was a sinking
over.
ship.
It was over.
And,
it was over.
There was no point really.
Yeah.
So is there any other topics as far as like be the best wrestler or best tag team, or if you had to pick a tag team to be in your stable, who would it be? Or if you were to be a wrestler, what about would you go for? Any of that stuff.
Well, pick a question and go with it.
Well, I'm just saying like random
pick
questions.
One.
Because you're the wrestling guy, and
I can't answer all those questions at once.
Well, okay, fine. Best tag team
ever of all time.
Ever WCW.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who it. WCW, WWE, Ring of Honor. I don't give a shit. Best tag team
of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have my answer. I mean,
I basically do.
I have to believe it's got to be the same answer, because the greatest tag team of all time. And maybe it's just personal opinion. Maybe.
Do you need a countdown? Like 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
It's Legion of Doom. It's the LOD. Greatest tag team of all time.
They are one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
Most winningest tag team. That's if that's a word.
It's a 7
of all time,
Scrabble, bro.
Unless you're talking even a little bit later on in the years. I think the Dudley Boys surpassed them.
The Dudley Boys have surpassed LOD.
Damon!
But me being a little bit more of the purist that I am, it's the LOD all day.
Well, LOD was great.
Without the LOD, there would be no Dudley Boys, so it still comes back to the LOD for me. But that's just me.
That's a fair argument, but I'm gonna go a little bit different.
Okay, all right,
Different.
all right.
And I'm gonna go with, actually, it was Axe and Smash.
Demolition. You're going Demolition over the LOD.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's a weird pick, honestly, dude.
I thought that they were better at the time.
They were a good tag team, no doubt, but they weren't better than the LOD, I don't think.
I don't know. Maybe it was at the time just the way that they were portrayed. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Because they wanted them to come in and be the new LOD and retire LOD, but they didn't outlast them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't outlast them.
They did get a little wonky because then they added Crush.
Right, and then it all fell apart, and then Crush became part of the DOA, Crush created the DOA, and LOD was still just there.
Right.
They just still kept going.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, we're still tag team champs. Don't give a shit.
They weren't really tag team champs very long, though, if you really look at it. They were more NWA.
Oh, I mean, they owned the NWA.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody touched them.
Right.
And the WWF.
Right.
They owned that.
Right.
I mean, they
Once
weren't...
you start getting into, like, the 80s, 90s, they weren't as... prevalent.
But they still owned it. The titles, yes, changed hands a bit more frequently.
Yeah.
But it kind of always came back to the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I'll give you that one.
I could have... I mean, in the same argument, if you want to go with one of the best tag teams, I mean, you could go with the Rock and Roll Express.
Right. One of the probably most underrated tag teams.
Yeah. Or the Freebirds, even.
The Freebirds were great.
Yeah.
They were.
Mendo, what do you think? Where's your
between two.
soul taking you?
My soul's taking me to two tag teams. APA, Farouk and Bradshaw.
Not bad.
And
but in all honesty, they can't hold a candle to Hawk and Animal, but...
All right. Losers on dialysis. Gotcha. Or I could go Team Extreme, Jeff and Matt Hardy. Come on, they were a dynamic duo. Can't have one without the other.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys were good. They were a good team, for sure.
And you can have one without the other.
You did.
You proved it.
Actually, weren't they... Wasn't one of them, like, world heavyweight champion?
Yeah.
And they got the championship in Buffalo, New York, so...
Yes.
Yeah, so you could clearly have one without the other.
I was in the building that night.
Same here.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't meet each other.
I was not. But... Sucker! But in any event, so...
Yeah, LOD versus Team Extreme, I'm just saying.
Well, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
In their prime, LOD versus the Hardys in their prime, LOD would have wrecked them, I think.
I go all the way around.
I'd go with LOD, honestly.
I know. All right.
But
2-on-1, that's
I gotta say, in their prime versus in their prime, not the old guys versus the young guys. No. In their prime versus in their prime, LOD had them all day. Without question, I think.
Team Extreme was indestructible. Did you see the TLC match?
No. You want to talk
TLC match?
You want to talk indestructible? Watch LOD circa the 1980s.
Did they have Edge and Christian and Team 3D in a tables, ladders, and chair match for the tag titles?
No, they had LOD in a scaffold match.
For those who don't know, what's a scaffold match?
Hate. Nothing but hate.
Was it a TLC match? Nothing but hate, too?
Not like a scaffold match.
Talk to me.
the scaffolding match is kind of like a steel cage match, but you have a scaffolding actually hanging up above the ring.
So think of a TLC match, right? All right. So think of the worst thing you can think of in a TLC match. You got like ladders going up and then tables across, and then people going down like 30 feet, right? That's a scaffold.
Okay.
Now, the difference between that and a scaffold is that scaffold has a railing. So, within that railing, that 2 foot of railing, you have 4 guys fighting each other. Like 20 feet up in the air, fighting on a 2 foot railing of scaffolding, trying to get belts. And people are just beating the hell out of each other. And if they fall, they fall.
I can see my argument. Fair enough. Okay. Now, next question. If we were in a triple threat match, I'm not saying who would win, because clearly me, but who would be if we were to have a tag team partner? Who would it be?
So
Wait.
First question: If it was a tag team triple threat match, who would be your tag team partner? And go.
Well, Rob.
Yeah, all day.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a triple threat.
Yeah.
Really, it's a 2-on-1, really?
No, you'd still have a partner.
Right. It'd be a tag team match.
Fantastic. Okay, so you guys would lose to HBK, bitches.
No, we wouldn't.
No, I don't think we would.
Yeah. Because he has you as a partner.
Right.
So,
yeah. All we gotta do is keep you isolated.
right.
Bro.
That's Wrestling 101.
Right? Keep the guy in your corner.
Right.
Or if I have HBK start the match.
All right. We still keep you isolated from him.
Right.
Yeah, because
either he knocks us out hands down and we're done, or we keep him isolated from you and you can never tag in and we just wear him down. So
you can't wear down Mr. Saturday Night. I'm just saying.
Okay. I'm glad you said that. Where do you get that?
Has it been called that before?
I don't believe so. The main event? The showstopper!
That was called Mr. Saturday Night, is what? On top of his other accolades and whatnot.
Mr. WrestleMania.
Mr. WrestleMania for sure.
Mr. Hall of Fame.
I swore he said Mr. I'm sorry.
The greatest of all time.
Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Right?
So, you can have each other, I can have the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
and whip both your asses. Fantastic.
No Mr. Saturday Night, though.
I could have sworn it was called Mr. Saturday Night.
No.
Or Friday Night Delight or some like shit.
I feel like
No.
I feel like you're just making things up.
I think so,
I
too.
feel like we're not drunk enough. But anyway.
Rob Van Dam was known by Mr. Monday Night at one point.
Yeah.
But different guy.
True.
Different day.
All right.
So
Robin.
I feel like maybe you're thinking of a Leonard Skinner song.
yeah.
What the fuck?
This is Saturday night special.
Love you too. Anyway. All right. So we went from tag team to finishing maneuvers to who.
Well, here's a question that I'd like to ask Steve, and if you Mendo, you have an opinion, by all means,
Please do. Please do have an opinion.
Please enlighten us. But the greatest intercontinental champion of all time.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion.
Intercontinental champion of all time.
Well, there's a few people on the list who have a legitimate
solid options. Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
You have the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man.
Correct.
You have the man with the most Intercontinental titles,
Yeah.
Chris Jericho.
Uh-huh.
You have one of the greatest just wrestlers of all time, Bret Hart.
Fair.
But
You have his contemporary, Shawn Michaels.
well, I'm getting there. But then you have Shawn Michaels.
You also have, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the first man to, at that point, hold 4 Intercontinental titles back to back. Well, as back to back as you can get while holding Intercontinental titles. Razor Ramon.
Yeah, he was good. Could also go with the first man to ever hold the Intercontinental title, Pat Patterson.
That's true.
But
So who is the best Intercontinental Champion of all time, in your opinion? Given all of the Intercontinental options.
you might find this a little funny,
Okay?
but gonna actually go with the Ultimate Warrior.
Interesting pick.
Yeah,
That's a...
you know, he beat the Honky Tonk Man,
Yeah.
and he carried the Intercontinental title all the way until he beat Hulk Hogan for the WWE title.
And he had both.
And he
for
had
a while.
both. You know, and eventually they, if I remember correctly, stripped him of the Intercontinental title.
Because they didn't want him to have both.
Right. So he never lost it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Mendo, in your opinion, your favorite or the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time?
That's a hard one for me. Like I said, I've been WCW pretty much.
Okay, so what's the WCW? Is that the TV or the...
The WCW
US.
version would be the U.S. title.
The U.S. title. United States title champion.
DDP, hands down.
He was good, you know.
If I was to go... I mean, I've never watched, consecutively the WCW, but I know of some things in
Right.
that era. If I were to go, personally, the U.S., we're talking U.S. champion,
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes was an excellent U.S. champion.
That would be my pick. But nothing against DDP. I love DDP. But as a U.S. champion, I got to give it to Dustin Rhodes.
I think DDP holds better, man.
Or Arn Anderson.
Arn Anderson's pretty good, Honestly, on that one, I would go with Chris Benoit.
Okay.
Fair
All right.
enough.
That's not a bad pick.
It
Wait,
might-
are we supposed to pretend like Benoit didn't exist too?
No, we're not the WWE.
Right.
WWF, whatever you decide to call it these days.
Best.
As far as I'm concerned, what happened. You can't erase the guy from history altogether.
Right. Well, that's,
know.
I mean,
So, but
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, right?
Brock Lesnar.
Nobody's
Calm the hell down.
Nobody's trying to. I mean, everybody's trying to forget
Yeah, like-
Brock
like-
Lesnar, but nobody's trying to actually erase him.
Yeah. Well,
Macho Man.
But mainly, it wasn't the greatest run of all time, but him and Booker T had a best of 7 series for the United States title, which was probably one of the greatest
Thank you.
series of matches I've ever
That's
seen.
what I'm trying to tell you. It's
That's
like
fair,
I've
that's
seen all
fair.
7 matches, and I remember that because they were trying to get the best TV title matchup, and they were both just neck and neck. You got Harlem Heat versus guy from Canada. So it was, honestly, you had the missile drop kick, crippler crossface, back and forth. And
So that was that. If I may, that was the best match or series of matches that the WCW
I'm not saying
had put out. I'm unaware. So is that
for me? I think the best of 7 of Benoit, Booker T, hands down, probably one of the best matches, other than probably Jericho and Rey Mysterio a couple of times. But other than that, Mysterio and Benoit. I'm sorry,
because I think you know where I'm going with this, but
Booker T and Benoit, I think are the best matches of WCW. Once again, it's like Democrat versus Republican. So
no. That was the
in my opinion,
that
I
was
think
the
that
pinnacle.
for-
Yeah.
Not saying there's been other matches, but my
No.
favorite matches have been for the TV title best of 7 matches, and one of them was in Buffalo, New York.
Okay. So, if I may, so what you're saying is those are some of the best matches you've
It was the best,
almost ever seen.
best series of matches.
You think? Yeah. You think so? If I may retort.
WCW, yeah.
Oh well, I'm not talking WCW. I'm saying all the time.
We were talking U.S. title.
Oh well, then
WCW.
Okay.
That was probably one of the
Your
best
Intercontinental
series
by
of
US.
matches.
Okay, because when somebody says best matches or even best series of matches of all time, I always take it back And it doesn't even matter the title. It matters. None of it matters because this is the best series or best match of all time. The whole thing. Hands down, the best match of all time.
The best match of all time. I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
The Iron Man match.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart.
60
the
minutes.
best match of all
60
time.
minutes.
Of all time. Yeah.
Goes into overtime.
Yeah.
0-0.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of all time.
Fantastic.
The best match.
Was this before the screw job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Well,
yeah.
okay, well, clearly. We're doing it after the fact. But how long from best Iron match ever to screw job? Like, was it like a couple of years? Like, how
No,
long?
like less than a year. Like
It was maybe a year.
a few months, maybe 6
Well,
months.
because it
I
was
would
a
say.
WrestleMania when they had the Iron Man match.
Right.
And then the screw job was at a SummerSlam?
No,
Or
no, it was at like an In Your House or something like that, right? It wasn't one of the major four.
okay.
It was at an in-betweener. Maybe 8 months? 8 months? I don't know.
wasn't
The internet would tell us if we
Or
looked it
our
up.
fans would probably let you, Leo, it's this.
Yeah.
It wasn't ridiculously long after.
No, it wasn't too long after,
You
no.
know.
And Bret Hart
No,
right the
but-
word WCW on that.
Yeah.
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 Which
But-
that whole situation was
Yeah, I mean
Just-
that was a shit show. Everybody acknowledges that was terrible.
yeah.
But the match that preceded it, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12? 13? Why do I not remember?
I can never remember which one it is.
It's either 12 or 13, I know that much.
I know it was in Anaheim, California.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I can also tell you that Shawn Michaels rode down from the top of the
From
arena.
the top, yep, with his trainer like pointing to him at the ceiling. Yes, yes. It was an amazing event. It was actually the first pay-per-view I had ever seen actually live as it was happening. The first pay-per-view I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Every other pay-per-view I've ever seen was on VHS tape and that whole thing. This one, I actually convinced my grandfather to purchase live to see the whole thing. I saw it happen.
That's an amazing one to be your first.
It was my
Hell
first,
yeah.
and it was.
Money well spent.
I mean, it wasn't my money, so I don't know. it sticks with me, and it was just epic. It was epic.
Yeah.
There's no other word. Like,
Yeah, it was. I'd say that is the best match of all time.
to me, I know that it was.
Yeah.
Personally, the very best match of all time ever to exist in history was that match.
Mhm.
I mean, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, 1 and 2
Fantastic.
in WrestleMania. Great fucking matches. But the Iron Man match.
I would actually contest that. Unfortunately,
Ranked.
I would go Ric Flair HBK. The I'm sorry, I love you. Boom.
No,
That was
no, no,
emotional.
no, no,
Come
no,
on,
no, no,
man.
no. You're
Really?
You're confusing moment with match.
Yes.
That was a good. Honestly, that was a good match too.
It was a great moment. It wasn't a good match.
It was a decent match.
But it wasn't a great
It wasn't a
match.
great match.
The Undertaker Shawn Michaels matches crushed the Shawn Michaels.
The promos leading up to it, like I need to beat the streak. I get that.
No, it wasn't even that. It was the match itself.
Okay,
It was just that
What
good.
brought me to tears was that moment where that camera was on HBK. Like, I'm sorry, I love you.
So how did Shawn Michaels like crawling himself up the Undertaker's pant leg
Stay down.
not
Stay down.
bring tears to your eyes then?
He was like, I'm just.
Am I wrong?
No,
I don't know. I'm like,
He just has a different feeling on it.
I guess.
Like,
yeah.
It's like seeing Fox and the Hound. I'm sorry. I just feel as though like that match between Ric Flair and like HBK had a better impact than guy crawling up. Stay down. No.
But
First,
see, this is where I think that you're missing kind of our point.
Yeah.
Is
I'm sorry.
You are taking the two moments from those and you're comparing them. And you can't.
Okay.
Because those two moments are completely different and they mean two completely different things
Okay.
to those involved.
I understand.
You know what I mean? Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair was childhood idol versus mentor, basically.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it was epic.
And,
It was extremely epic.
You have Rick crying, you have Shawn crying at the end of the match.
Right.
You know.
The only thing that would have been even close to as good would have been if Marty Jannetty grew up to be a thing, and it was Marty Jannetty versus Shawn Michaels.
Right.
That would have been a thing. But,
right. You know, but, so you had that moment.
Right.
But the match itself wasn't that great. Okay. But then when you get to...
it was...
Okay.
It was okay.
It was okay, good. Yeah. It was good, but it wasn't great. Then you get Undertaker, Shawn Michaels.
It wasn't Undertaker, Shawn Michaels by any means.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels was not Undertaker, Shawn Michaels.
Right.
That's...
Then you get the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and you're comparing the moment where Shawn's basically pulling himself up on the Taker. And, you know, Shawn's basically retiring. And, you know, these are just two guys that have been wrestling each other for basically 20 years.
Forever.
You know?
Yeah.
And
it's impressive the one is still wrestling.
Right.
Well, once a year, but...
Yeah. But, you know, what you don't get there is you don't get the backstory. That since they've grown up together, they've basically been friends for 20 years.
Right. And you don't get that you haven't been watching the two of them your entire life.
I haven't.
Right.
Whereas I grew up watching nothing but the WWF. Neither of them ever flip-flopped. I've seen both of them just keep coming up through the ranks in the WWF my entire life.
All right.
And it culminated in just this moment of passion and I don't even know what other word to use. It was just epic.
And up until the first WrestleMania match between the two of them, Undertaker had never beaten Shawn Michaels in a match.
No, never once.
All right.
So you had that going in where, well, Shawn's never lost to Undertaker, so he's got a chance.
He is Mr. WrestleMania.
Right.
But then you have the streak.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you have...
So I now concede to that the streak versus Mr. WrestleMania himself.
Right.
Right. And then you just...
They've never faced each other up until that point at WrestleMania.
Do you know why? Do you know why that is? Or was it just like
because they were different? They were different people.
Yeah, but Hulk Hogan has faced Goldberg, Rock faced Goldberg, and all these other
matches, but it was just like it never
like
came about.
Like
that was never the
thing.
thing.
Think like Vince McMahon would just capitalize on it, like, oh, on a Monday Night Raw, HBK, Undertaker, boom.
No, they never.
You're thinking wrong way.
Talk to me.
Because, put it this way, you're Vince McMahon.
Okay.
You have The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
You have Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
You have the two biggest draws of WrestleMania year in and year out.
Ever.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You have The Undertaker who's got the streak,
That's
never loses at the time.
Ever once.
Right.
Still has never lost. Let's be.
Brock Lesnar.
Okay. Then you have Shawn Michaels that, yes, he may lose at WrestleMania, but he's always got the best match of the show. Right?
Fair enough.
Without question.
You put those two together too early in the career, you lose the mystique.
You lose everything.
Well, but then again,
you lose the whole.
That's what they say about like the Sting Undertaker match. Is that going to happen? Hell no.
No, it's not.
But that's not. That's for a different reason.
Yeah.
It's for a different reason entirely. That never happened because they were in two different fucking worlds.
Right.
So is everyone else, but we all end up being together.
Mm-hmm. You know, Sting.
Goldberg was WCW and all that bullshit, but
but that's Sting is different. Sting's a different guy.
Was
held on to his
so loyal to WCW,
so diehard loyal
to a fault that he could have came over whenever he wanted.
Ever. He could have come over. Fucking
during the Attitude Era.
During the Attitude Era, could have happened. He just chose not to.
Yeah.
But But then
In fact, I'm pretty sure, didn't the WWF offer him more money?
Yeah.
And he turned them down? Like 3 times?
But he eventually did cross over.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. What are we talking? Like 10 years after, 15 years after the fact?
It was a long time after the fact.
No, we're talking during the time.
Okay, fair.
He was offered a lot more money to do it, and he never did it.
And the thing is with Sting coming over the last, what was it, like 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
You know, that was basically like, I'm going to be retiring. I'm going to be in their Hall of Fame anyways because they bought WCW.
Yeah, because I'm motherfucking Sting.
Right.
Like,
and he's like, the one thing I've never done in my career is have a WrestleMania moment. That's the one thing.
I honestly feel like he got kind of screwed on his WrestleMania moment, but
He
that's
screwed
me.
himself.
That's me.
He did.
But he screwed himself over. He could have had ample opportunity. He said no. He screwed himself over. That's the real screw job, not Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels.
Don't you ever downplay the Montreal Screwjob.
I'm not done.
That's
But
first of all, let's be fair there. Never downplay the Montreal Screwjob. But
I'm just saying. But you know where I'm getting at.
I see kind of your point, but
Okay,
you know,
the Montreal Screwjob. But who screwed who? Did Bret screw Bret? Did Vince screw Bret? What in your opinion?
They screwed
what
each other.
actually?
it kind of didn't matter. No, it didn't matter at
Because I
all.
was like, because I've heard other promos like Bret screwed Bret from Vince and Vince screwed Bret and back and forth.
Well, who owns the company? So who are you going to hear from?
right.
Okay, so did Eric Bischoff offer it? Like, what was his motivation to go to WCW? Was it motivation? Was it lack of respect?
Bret
didn't. What was it?
Bret, the contract was just up. This is from what I understand. The contract was up, and Vince couldn't offer Bret the amount that Bischoff could.
Because he had
which
Turner's money.
Which was fine, and Vince even understood that because it had happened a couple of times before, obviously, at this point. So Vince even understood. He was like, "I get it. I can't offer you that money. Go." But Bret said, "I will not drop the belt to Shawn in Canada." And Vince said, "Well, your contract's up, so just drop the belt." And it came down to Bret decided it's just not going to happen. And then Vince said, "Fuck you, ring the bell." And
told Earl Hebner who...
And that was it.
Basically, Bret, for whatever his reason was, didn't want to lose the belt to Shawn Michaels in Canada for his final match in the WWF.
Which I get it. I get that.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
He came up with, you know what? I hold on to the belt. I come out on Monday night.
I come out on Monday Night Raw, and I'll drop it.
And I drop it, and I walk away.
Right.
And Vince was like, no. Because
it has to be.
You have to. Because what you might not remember is a few years before that, Alundra Blaze's contract was up. She
left with the belt and dropped it in the garbage can
on WCW
the next night on WCW Nitro.
So Vince,
is she a terrorist for like disrespecting the WWF game for doing that? Like, hey, I want to take this and make people hate me.
Well, it wasn't accepted. It was poor taste.
It was Eric Bischoff's idea because when he signed Blaze,
right, but the people in the business and even Alundra Blaze herself was like, I don't feel okay doing this.
Right, but she had just signed a big money contract,
right?
And she did what her boss told her.
Right. But even up into that point, she was like, I don't want to do this.
Right. But she did what she had to.
Yeah, absolutely.
She did what her boss told her.
With all that money backing you.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you do.
And another thing
And so Vince was basically, his thing was,
I want my belt back.
I'm going to avoid that at all costs. Because if Bret doesn't stick to what Bret says, and Brett shows up on Monday Nitro on Monday instead of Monday Night Raw
With my belt?
with my belt, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
Right. And which brings me to the current point where I know WWE, WWF has been sued multiple times as far as like whole concussion thing, just like NFL being sued for concussions, that kind of thing. Like, where do you stand on that? Because you are more wrestling fan and know the know-how. Like, do you think like WWE owes their wrestlers money for concussions being in the sport that, you know, causes that stuff? Like John Cena's had multiple concussions, Gold Dust, and anybody else in between. And like, what is your stance on like, does the wrestling event owe you money for committing to a sport that you know that you have a risk and that you could possibly die from? Case in point, Owen Hart. All due respect.
Rest
Just
in
saying.
peace.
May he rest in peace.
I'm just saying.
Well-
In fact, 2-1.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
See,
So, what do you see on the whole
the problem,
injury aspect of wrestling?
the problem is, number one, they all know the risks. That's
If I may refer you to a specific athlete.
25 points on Scrabble,
Yeah.
y'all.
If I may refer to you a specific gentleman, if you will, by the name of Mick Foley.
Touche.
Yeah.
You want to talk about guys who underwent concussions, like everything,
Yeah.
and still went, I love the business. I knew what I was getting myself into.
Right. But, you know, Mick's a different breed, though, man. Like, he's got problems, and he will never go against
Ever. Not once.
the company.
Ever.
No matter which company it was, he will never go against the company.
No, for sure not.
You know, because
Why would he?
in his mind, I made the decision to do that.
Yeah.
So why?
So he's got the right fucking mind frame,
right.
as far as I'm concerned.
There's other people that don't see it that way. And the thing is the way I look at it is Vince McMahon is a very smart man, you know?
Yeah.
And he
For
made
sure.
his business a long time ago where all the wrestlers are considered independent contractors. So they're all responsible for their own transportation, their own health care, their whole this, you know. He pays them, but he doesn't really, you know, own them per se. He owns their characters. He owns their merchandise for the most part, like,
Right.
unless you're like Hogan,
Right.
the big names, you know. And basically what it ends up coming down to is the way he made his business, he doesn't see that he owes them anything. Now, over the years, that's changed a little bit. You know, he helps pay for, you know, rehab programs for wrestlers who've fallen off and, you know, need rehab, like Scott Hall.
Multiple
He's paid
times.
for Scott Hall to go to rehab like almost a dozen times.
Mhm.
You know,
The Snake.
Jake the Snake
Oh, yeah.
Roberts, you know, he's paid for stuff like that. But you can only do so much, you know, at that point. And they do have more concussion related, like doctors, you know, stuff like that now. They do take better care of the wrestlers. But,
Well, that's because they realize it's a thing.
right.
That's-
Over the NFL, because like NFL just feels like they don't give a shit, or the NFL is like called the no fun league because there is no fun in that thing. But I'm just saying, like, so as far as like the WWE or WWF is concerned, I feel as though it's like, yeah, the wrestlers signed up for like they're entertainers that matter, but at the same time, it's just like they should give a shit about their athletes, and I feel as though like.
Well, who
The
says
NFL
that they
gives
don't?
better shit than I'm just saying. Like, I don't think Vince McMahon does give a shit because he's been sued multiple
So
times.
what? So
But-
what? But
Well-
it doesn't mean he doesn't care. Like,
You also have to look at who's suing him, too.
right?
Like, a lot of the lawsuits coming out right now are guys from the early 90s, 80s, 70s, you know, before they knew what concussions really were and how bad they were for you. You know what I mean?
True, but if you had an injury that you didn't know about, but at the same time you were like, "Oh, this is a thing now," would you not want to get money? I'm just saying, if you were in that position,
but there's different ways to go about it too.
Right.
Like if you thought you were a victim of a sport that was just beating the hell out of your brain and things like that,
nothing could possibly.
like why wouldn't you go to the, let's say, commissioner of that league or chairman or what have you, and go, listen, I'm having lots of problems. I need help. Why wouldn't you be that guy as opposed to, fuck it, I'm going to sue him? Like, because at least in at least the way that I understand the WWE to be, if you went to Vince and you said, Vince, I need help. From what I understand of him, he'd go, okay, let's get you help. And that would be the thing.
Fair enough. And
again, I don't know that to be true. I've never been in that situation, but
Right.
there's been a documentary where Scott Hall were like, WWE officials were like, we've given him help constantly.
yeah, exactly. But that's the
turned
thing.
him down.
But that's the thing. Like
He's got to do it on his own, but at the same time,
right. But he has been offered help. He's been offered help.
And he's the only, probably, unless I'm mistaken, but I think he's probably the few extreme cases where WWF actually physically came to him like, listen, you need help.
No, they've done that actually many times throughout their history.
Oh, I thought it was
going back again to Jake the Snake Roberts being one of their first,
Yeah.
and many others after that, like
because that DDP was our saving grace.
No.
Like, you need to do this, and no.
DDP did help both of them tremendously,
Right.
but it was only after basically they realized that a regular rehab program wasn't for those guys.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I hope that someday the DDP gets into the WWE Hall of Fame just because of his work with these special cases where the guys are just so bad off.
They needed help. Yeah, absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
like what John Cena is to the kids of like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. DDP is for like the older generation, helping kids seeing like happiness in their lives, in a sense. If you know what I'm saying, it's like John Cena's like, hey, I appreciate the kids, because John Cena is like for the kids. Sorry. DDP is for adults who've, people who've either paid the way or need that little extra assistance. DDP is that guy who will never turn down a broken smile, like the guy who's going to be there for someone who needs it. And John Cena's for the teenage and tweener generation, or for the millennial generation, which unfortunately we're in.
Like, I kind of see what you're getting at, but John Cena goes and he talks to a kid that is from Make-A-Wish, that their wish is to meet that guy.
Right.
Their inspiration.
He's their inspiration, But if you're trying to compare that to what DDP does, DDP...
That's apples and oranges.
Changes these guys' lives, makes them able to live a normal life again. You're comparing two completely different things.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know, see.
Right, yeah, I mean, you're talking, I mean,
like hope
as blatant as it is to go, if you want to break it down to fundamentals, you're talking a difference between
hope and fitness,
cancer kids, if you will,
yeah,
and drug addicts. You're looking at a huge difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to say that
either deserves more attention than the other, which maybe they do, maybe they don't. That's not what I'm arguing.
You're arguing two different points, basically.
Right? Yeah, you're looking at two completely different things.
Fair enough. And it's like who do you say first, the mama or the dying baby, when you're in a burning building, for that matter. Yeah, I know I speak in metaphors and similes, but get used to it. It's just like, what do you say? Who do you do first, and who do you say first? I should say.
Well, basically, to end the question.
Yes.
Basically,
as far as
let's.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
No.
If you even go to Mick Foley himself, he says that the WWE today is a much safer environment.
Much safer.
Because they don't do the same things that he did.
Until you look at things like Shane McMahon getting thrown off a cell down and through a table. But even still, they planned for that as opposed to when Foley did it, and it was just random and shit, that happened.
Right.
But
you know, the chair shots, they don't hit in the head no more.
Right.
They don't, you know, do.
Yeah, you don't even see. I mean, watch it nowadays. They aren't hitting anybody over the fucking head or over the face with a chair anymore.
Right.
It's over the back.
It's over the back. It's half the time the guy's on the ground, and if you actually look,
they don't even touch.
They don't even touch because all the chair is doing is hitting the canvas in front of the guy, and it just looks like it because of the camera angles.
Yep.
It's a much safer business now.
Yeah. Whereas Foley, even in his two books, said that there was a specific way that he liked to get hit with the chair because it resonated the sound.
Right.
It made that snap sound, and it's like, well, that doesn't happen now because they don't hit people anymore.
It's watered down Gatorade is what it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's safer.
It's a lot safer. Yes.
It's a much safer company.
Is it safe to say for all other sports like basketball and football, especially football, you know, hitting helmet to helmet and all that good stuff? But I don't know. Is there such thing as a clean athlete, or is there such thing as a clean sport, or as far as like can someone be in a sport without using drugs or steroids and all that crap?
Yeah, for sure they can. Why wouldn't they be able to? There's no such thing as a as you were posing it, a clean sport, because it depends on the person themselves, living it. Yeah, but is there a clean athlete? For sure. Is there an overall clean sport? I don't know. You could have two clean athletes and one not clean athlete. Two. Let's call it. You got 4 marathon runners, 2 of which are doping and 2 are just running. Well, then you got 2 clean and 2 not clean. Who cares? What's the difference? It's tough to say. That's a different thing entirely. But the fact of the matter is, it's not the sport that's wrong. It's the person cheating that is wrong.
Fair enough, because it's especially with the Olympics coming up in Rio in about 2 weeks and shit like that, and Russia's was supposed to be a country that's supposed to be banned and whatnot. So what are you gonna do? So,
I don't know. I mean, the Olympics being what they are, great sports, everything like that, but that's not the same as professional sports. There's a difference between Olympiads and professionals and things like that. And there's nothing wrong with either, but there could be problems one way or the other. Yeah?
Yeah, you're not, unfortunately, no matter what you do to prevent doping, let's say, or steroids or whatever.
Right, or whatever it may
whatever
be.
the next big scandal is.
Of course, yeah.
That's the thing. There's always going to be the next big scandal because you're always going to have somebody looking for an edge, pushing the boundaries.
Right.
And that's on that person.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily
That's not on the sport. That's on the person.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. That's. But in general, I think that, words and stuff. Yeah.
All right. I think that pretty much means is, we've talked about music, we talked about wrestling. So, those of you who listen to this, you do have a homework assignment. No, not homework, but we do want to listen from you guys because we do care about you. We do love you. Pose 10 songs on our Facebook page on LagersandLife that describe your life, and we want to be inspired by you guys. Even if it was like if it's straight rock or straight opera, Doesn't matter. You want to.
So Mendo's bringing it back to the first part of the evening. Sorry to cut you off. Where it brings it to the music you listen to and the sports, even the sports you watched growing up.
Is there such thing as a clean sport? Is there such thing as a clean athlete? Because please educate us, because I've yet to find even one. So
I think. You're just not
I think I don't think you're looking. I don't think you're looking properly, but
it's kind of irrelevant at that.
Yeah, in general, what I'd like to say is thanks for listening to the songs and hanging out. If you got songs that you want to share with us, if there was something in your life that really needed to be shared,
Facebook.com and
Facebook, LagersandLife, that's us. If you got any questions, comments, concerns,
LagersandLife@gmail.com.
there it is. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about our thoughts or
anything
comments or thought processes on processes. I'm not sure.
16 on scrap.
On wrestling and things of that matter. Let us know. So I totally love to just thank Steve for coming out tonight.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation to join you guys on the podcast.
Yeah.
And
we loved having you.
Hell yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just talking for myself, but
come on, man.
Right.
I definitely appreciate your input, and especially your top 10 songs. I never knew so much about you in those 10 songs, and it's absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And for your listeners, don't forget to check out mine and Rob's other show.
Yeah.
Coming in mid to late September.
Mid to late, let's call it mid-September, I think.
Okay.
Right? That's it. That sounds about right.
Right, yeah.
So check us out mid-September. Beyond that, thanks for stopping by, and thank you, Steve, for stopping in. And if you would be so kind as to join Mendo and myself in our nightly cheers. And by nightly, I mean weekly. Cheers. Here we go. Here's to me.
Here's to you.
Here's to love and laughter. I'll be true so long as you, and not a moment after.
Till next time, y'all. Stay beautiful.
Hey, cheers, everybody. Steve, you want to give us a sign off?
Stay classy, everyone. Good night and good night.
Damn Skippy.